Hello and welcome to our second frequency tuning with our guest number 2 today.
Hey everybody, it's Goldyn Duffy and Lisa Jones. We are the Real Onez, and we are going to help our guest frequency tune to shift something in their life that they are looking to create something new with. So welcome, guest.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
We're happy to have you here. So tell us what is going on and what would you like to shift in your life?
Okay, so I think what I've realized recently, kind of a belief that I've had really my whole life is that I need to be prepared for the other shoe to drop, for the ground to fall out from underneath me, for the worst possible thing to happen. And when that happens, I'm not going to be okay. And what's happened recently is I actually got my dream job about 1.5 years ago, and realized about 2 or 3 months in that I was terrified of something going wrong and I'm going to lose it. And at that, when I recognized that, at that point I was able to say, and I think I said this to you guys in my email, F that, I'm not going to keep going down that road of fear and not being able to enjoy the fact that I have this amazing job. So I started to just stay in gratitude about this amazing job I have, the boss that I have who advocated for me for a great salary and then did my review and gave me an amazing bonus and salary increase. So all of this good stuff was happening, and I was, had this fear swirl going around. So I know that, so with that particular situation, I was able to shift, I guess, from fear to gratitude. But I still just always have this, not always, but more often than I want to, have this belief that it's not going to be okay. I have to be prepared for the other shoe to drop. And what that means for me, and is always around finances. So that means I can't spend any money. I can't enjoy this wonderful salary that I have. I can't plan for the future with my husband because what if I lose my job? And it's one of the things that when I wake up in the middle of the night, it's like this terrifying thought to me. And I know it goes back to my childhood. I grew up in Connecticut like you guys did. And, we were like the poor family and all these, I went to high school in Darien. So, poor family in the rich town, and always felt less than. What happened sort of in my adult life is I felt deprived as a kid. So I decided I'm going to spend every last penny I have, do whatever the heck I want, but then always felt afraid and in debt and scared and making bad decisions and feeling bad about making bad decisions. But what I was going to say is I don't remember anything about my childhood, which I know is a huge red flag. So it's hard for me to really identify specifically where this fear started and how it was planted, I guess. So that's why I wanted to do this with you guys to see if, kind of what are the meditations that I can do maybe to tap into that. Do I need to know what that was? Do I need to know what happened in my childhood in order to be free of this? And I want to figure out how to not always go to that place of fear. I want to be in gratitude. I want to be free. I want to be in abundance. And as I said to you guys before, I'm in that place more often now because I've been listening to you guys. But it's still, it can still get triggered really easily, I guess, is what is the piece that I want to be able to work through.
This is so good. And this is going to help so many people because so many people walk around with this. And, as kids, we're social program. I mean, we heard of, so many times we hear if it's too good to be true, it's not true. Right. I mean, there's all these sayings that go along with, if it's going too good, the shoe's going to drop. Like all these little sayings that we had that have been drilled into our heads create this belief system. So it doesn't necessarily matter what happened to you as a child, although we'll do a little work around that to see if we can kind of pull something up just to give you a reference point. I think that's the only really good reason to go back, is just to have a reference point and say, oh, there's that little belief, and this comes from my 5-year-old self, and now I know I don't need it anymore. But it's not necessary. We've talked about trauma not really being necessary to carry your traumas around with you anymore. We can make a clean cut from them and start to create new. But there's energy, energy gets trapped inside of us. And when it comes to financial struggle, I think financial struggle, I think, gives us the biggest opportunity. I think financial struggle and illness gives us the greatest opportunities to grow our faith, because it shows us just how okay we are. It shows us that things are always going to be okay. So I find it really interesting that you've been working on this and you're making progress on it. The only reason why you feel like you haven't kind of overcome it is just because you've got that energy kind of stuck within. And so you have this vibration that keeps popping up and triggering. Once we do the session, I think you're going to have even more awareness around it, where you won't create a momentum around it. So the middle of the night, you'll wake up, you'll have the thought, you'll go, oh, that's total bullshit. And you'll be able to fall back to sleep. So that's the beauty of doing this work, is just getting that energy out of your body. What about you, Lise?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say this is so common. And I mean, and I still work with it every now and then. It's not nearly like it used to be.
Yeah.
I especially remember after my husband died, like I remember meeting my then second husband, but again, we were just dating. And I just said, oh my God, I am so happy, but I feel like I'm at the ceiling. Like I can't get any happier, because I'm afraid if I get any happier, it's all going to fall away.
You're going to get sick and die.
I'm going to get sick and die. Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's like, I had to temper my happiness, because I was afraid that if I just let it go beyond, then it would, the shoe would drop. And so my husband, or, then my boyfriend said, oh my God, there's no limit to happiness. And as soon as he said those words, it like shattered that glass ceiling for me. And it helped so much, because I really had a belief that if it got too good, then something bad was going to happen, because that's pretty much what happened in my, I was married and we had a 1 and a 3-year-old and everything was great. And I kind of said to the universe, you know what, I'm bored. Like, what's next? And then like a week later, my husband was diagnosed with cancer, and it was a 7-year journey. So I kind of regretted saying that and thinking I created that and all,
Embrace
everything.
your boredom, people.
Exactly. Embrace, just be content. Just be content. That's what the Zen Buddhist master said to me yesterday. Just be content. That's really all we're looking for. But
absolutely.
But it is kind of true too, about this whole idea of like, there's always something better. There's always something more. There's just to be able to relax into, wow, you've got this amazing job, and wow, you've got an amazing, pay increase. And by being able to relax into that, and just being that's your norm, then you're not swaying from, because it seems to me these are extremes, right? We go from the extreme of like wanting our perfect job and then actually getting it, to then we swing back to, holy shit, we're going to lose it,
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, there's another level of faith and trust that happens. And I've been in that situation where, you kind of have all this money and you're just like, I'm going to have so much fun with it, because I've never really had money like this before. I've totally been there. But the anxiety around, so this is what happened, and this is what formed your current belief system. The anxiety that you have around spending the money is what makes the money go away. So you've got all this flow coming in and you're spending it like crazy, but all the anxiety is what creates that system that actually breaks it down. So that was 2008 for us. Basically, it broke down. So now this time around, we're much more, I guess it's respectful of money. We talked about that with Diane Collins. You know, it's having a relationship with money and not just being like pushing it away every time it comes, right? So you kind of like bring it in, and it feels good to bring it in, and it feels good to spend it, but you're not doing it from an anxious place. I've also been in places where I've spent it just to prove that I'm abundant. That's not a good idea. Not a good idea. That doesn't work. So if you do it from a place of like real consciousness around your money, like, oh, that feels good to buy that, or that feels good to purchase that vacation, then the flow will continue because you've got this beautiful in and out relationship with money, and there's no anxiety attached to it. So we'll definitely work on that.
Absolutely. And I'm just smiling because this is, I mean, so is maybe some people know, maybe some people don't know, but when my husband died, I became a millionaire because he had a double life insurance policy. So having all that money, again, everyone's like, oh, if I could just be a millionaire. Well, listen, it doesn't solve anything. If anything, for me, it created a lot more angst in my life because now it's like, oh my God, if I lose it or what. And so even now we had the big crash just, recently. And so my account dipped below the $1 million mark. And I just was like, oh my God. But guess what? I've completely let go. And I'm just like, it is what it is. And now I suddenly look and it's back up again. And, I don't know, it had dropped like 40%. So I don't know where my broker was able to figure this out, but I'm back up. I'm good. And the more I let go of it and just use it in the flow of life and spend it on things that I love and not worry about it. I catch myself worrying about it when I start to spend it and I let go of that. Then it replenishes itself. As Goldyn always says, I'm always
it's a game of trust. Even Stephen. And it's a game of trust, and it's those times when we have to completely rely on our faith that really build the foundation for this. It's when you're at your, at your zero or you're at your negative, as the bank likes to call it. and you see how the universe just responds to that feeling of abundance. I say this all the time. Abundance is not money. It's how you feel about life. It's how you feel about the things around you. So as you feel more and more abundant about other things, your money is attached to that because that's the station you're tuning into. So that's definitely that's the key. That's really the key.
And one other thing that's popping up for me too is this whole idea of, having to prepare and be ready for the worst, it's all it's doing is stealing your joy.
And that's ingrained.
Right. But it's stealing your joy from just being in the moment because you're not present. You're thinking about the future. And again, this is me about the money, right? I worry I'm going to lose it all. Well, that's just stealing my joy in this moment because right now everything is fine. There's no problem. And yet I want to project and think about what's the worst case scenario and why. I mean, that's, again, I think it's programmed into us to be prepared, be that Boy Scout or whatever. And, have every scenario covered rather than just melting into this current moment and being so happy and being peaceful and happy in the moment.
Yeah.
I vacillate between those two things.
Well, you're doing a great job. That's the number one is you have to realize that you've got, I don't know how many years, I think we're almost the same age, 40 something years of momentum.
Yeah.
In a certain direction. So everybody wants to flip the switch and say, oh my God, I'm spiritually evolved and now I know everything. No, it's a process. And what you're doing is you're breaking away from some habits and some things, they're actually programs that are running. And in order for you to totally flip the switch, you've got to go through this vacillation time to keep choosing.
Right. It's the awareness, right. To be able to choose, because before you didn't have a choice to choose. You were just in the momentum. You would just get in the river and just let it take you wherever it took you. Whereas now you're like, oh, wait a minute. I see that boat. I see where it's going to take me. It's going to take me down to that wrong neighborhood, which we've talked about too. Don't go down.
Don't get out of the car. Don't get out of the car.
I guess that's the car that goes.
Or out of the boat. Don't get out of the boat. I don't know. But you're doing a great job. And I think, in this manifestation world, it's sometimes hard for us to give ourselves credit for how far we've come because we think, oh, if I know about this and I'm awake to it, then I should never have to deal with it again. And that's absolutely untrue. It's a process of unraveling a lot of crap that we've been taught. And as you get more and more awake and more aware of it, then you're going to start shifting the energy where something's going to happen and you're go, oh, I didn't respond to that the way I used to. Like, I had debit card issues for freaking years because so often I would go to the grocery store and there would be no money in my account. Not sure how that happens, but it would happen. And then I would go to use my debit card. There'd be plenty of money in my account, but it wouldn't work. But I would get that fear and that shame and that feeling again, where now it's just like that never happens to me anymore. Or if it happens, I'm like, I have money. There's money in my account. So it's your fault, like you figure it out. So it's releasing that shame and that guilt every time that happened, feeling like I am not negative in this world, and just taking that stance every time. So you're doing a great job. It's a muscle. We got to make it stronger.
Yeah. And I know whenever you talk about faith, there's something about that for me that I know, I need to strengthen that, because instead of going to the faith that everything's going to be okay, I go to the fear that the shit's going to hit the fan and nobody's going to be okay. Like,
right.
Well,
right. And that's just awareness.
And the way that our faith is strengthened, though, is by going through crap. Like, that's the crappy thing.
Being okay with things falling apart. That's that's part of it.
And knowing that falling apart is leading you to being more faithful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so we've got some work to do. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, I am too.
It's going to be good for Lisa and I
and
too. And the
so
whole
universal.
world.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is what I love. We talked about it on our show today, that both Goldyn and I have been doing one-on-one sessions for many years. And we both collectively have decided that that's just not the way to go, because truly this information that we're sharing with our guests is applicable to everybody. I mean, similar to like the Abraham Hicks, where they have the people in the hot seat, and it helps everybody hearing it. So thank you, guest, for being here and sharing this with us so we can heal the world.
It's so good, because you're not alone, and so many people, face this and deal with it. And Lisa and I also have faced it and dealt with it, and
continue to do so.
Somewhat risen above it. I'm not going to say that I'm over it, because there could be other levels, but I feel good. I feel like I'm good. I feel like we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
There was a movie, I forget the movie, but it was Morgan Freeman was playing God. It was one of those, I can't remember them. It was like Jim Carrey was in one of them, and then Steve Carell was in another one. It was the one with the Noah's Ark.
Yeah, I remember.
Says, if you pray for patience, God is going to give you more reasons to strengthen your patience. And it's like, you have to remember that. So if I pray for more faith, my faith is going to be tested, because the only way for my faith to get stronger is if it's tested, unless I put myself in a vibration where I tune that dial. I tune that dial to faith and trust. So we're going to do that. And listening to our show does a lot of that, because we're sharing examples of our own lives, of our people we interview in their lives, so that your beliefs could actually be strengthened by other people's stories. So super cool. All right. Is there anything else you want to share? Anything else you want to clear?
The only other thing I'm thinking about is that, and somebody said this to me recently about that I have like a belief in lack. So, and I think it also manifests in my relationships, like that I have this, so it's not just about, I'm not enough when it comes to money. I have this super high expectation of myself to be the perfect wife, to be the perfect friend, to be the perfect sister, to be the perfect aunt. And I compare myself to other people and don't measure up. Like, look how generous that person is with their time. Look at what a great friend they are, what a great sister they are. So I just feel like this is all, and I'm not really clear on how it's connected, but it feels like it's all connected.
Oh, it's definitely connected.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's that being good enough. Am I good enough to keep this really good paying job? Maybe I'm not good enough to keep this good paying job. Am I good enough? It's kind of like this idea of, have I made it to the level? We were talking about this in our show today, these Hollywood stars, like they've fulfilled all of their dreams and now they feel empty. It's like, have I made it to the level that the world sees me as good, as the world sees me as worthy? And we're born with worthiness. This is this is the thing that we're trying to uncover for people is, we're born with this idea of original sin and that we're unworthy beings until we make ourselves worthy in the world. And the truth is, we are worthy by being connected to our own self, to our own self-love, because that's how we are able to reflect that love to other people. If we don't have it within, no one is going to be able to fill that up for us.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, it's society. So it's like, we all blame ourselves like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I need to do more, or look at that person, and we compare each other. And that is society, the whole comparison thing. I mean, it's, talk about our, advertising, you're never good enough unless you have their product. You're never good enough unless, X, Y, or Z. And then people go out and buy the stuff, and they might feel good in that moment of purchase, but then they go home and, they're hoarders or whatever, because they can't fill themselves
right,
up
or they
enough.
have credit card bills that are ridiculous,
right.
Or social media is like,
oh yeah
man, it's
oh
rampant
for sure.
with this just projecting of this perfect existence that everybody has.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's really, it's such a tragedy, because there are so many people that compare themselves, especially on social media, which is an absolute mind,
Facade. Facade.
Facade. I like facade.
Mm-hmm.
About, nobody can measure up to the highlight reel. That's everyone's highlight reel. It's not, that's not even a real reel. It's like, look at me, look how great I am. And, so you got to just take yourself off that, roller coaster, that
but we can work on that, because I am sensing that the lack and the financial stuff are definitely connected. So let's get rid of some.
Let's jump in.
If you're ready.
Ready.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So let's just take a couple of deep breaths and kind of let our conversation clear so the energy is clean. And we like to call in divine energy, angelic assistance, and the assistance of our non-physical counterparts to help our guest release any energy that no longer belongs, any energy that is holding her back or making her feel this lack and unworthiness that is a generational energy. That's what I'm picking up. It's a generational energy. And the belief and the connection to that belief as it being truth, we're going to ask that is lifted. So just going in and opening the crown of your head and just bringing in this beautiful light. And as we bring in this light, we start to allow the energy to move. So in your neural pathways, in your brain, in your mind, we start to bring this light through. So it starts to really pull the energy away from the walls, starts to unblock any blockages, and bringing that energy down the back of your head and your neck, all the way down your face and your throat. We just start to unhinge the blockages in your throat chakra, any energy that's existent in the jaw, that's resentful energy or anger or anything that might be keeping you from speaking your truth. And we bring that light into your heart, just unlocking the heart chakra, allowing you to really feel the energy of self-love, self-forgiveness, anything that maybe have placed there that has caused you to feel unlovable or has given you a belief that you have to prove that you are lovable. And then bringing that energy down your abdomen, down into your solar plexus and your sacral chakra. We just activate that power center, that creative center. Just allowing you to step into a knowing, releasing all of that unworthiness energy. We're just stirring things up right now so we can take the energy and release it. So just working on those low-level beliefs. Anytime you didn't feel good enough, anytime you don't feel like enough, we're just asking all of that energy to start to break away if it's hiding, if it's dormant in any area of your body. And then we bring that light into the root chakra, and we pull away from the root chakra and all the energy of that, that feeling of insecurity and lack, and the energy of that depression energy is coming up for me. So any of your grandparent energy or great grandparent energy when there wasn't enough, when you didn't have enough, growing up as a kid, anything that was placed in your belief systems that created this energy of lack, we just start to pull that away. And we just bring all of this energy together, and we take a deep, deep breath, and we release all fear. We release all anxieties. We release all beliefs around our financial insecurities. We release all the energies of feeling distrust in the universe, distrust in ourselves, distrust in our circumstances, distrust in knowing that all is well. So just take some deep breaths, release that energy through the top of your head. Imagine it's coming up and out, releasing all energies of lack, releasing all energies of unworthiness, releasing all energies of being unlovable, unforgiven, energies of not being good enough. Just take that energy out. It no longer serves you. It doesn't belong there. There's no reason to feel obligation to others. It's about doing things that feel really good to you and loving yourself. You love others. And just taking all the energy out of your throat and releasing all of that hidden truth of not speaking your truth, of feeling like you don't matter, like you don't have important things to say. And then releasing from the neural pathways and unblocking your intuition. So we unblock the third eye chakra, activating all of that energy to be released so that you no longer feel a blockage in your intuition, releasing from the spiritual chakra at the top, and just releasing any blockages to your spiritual energy, releasing all of the mind chatter, all of the thoughts, all of the low-level belief systems that have been well worn in your neural pathways. We just ask that those are all closed up, and we release the attention, the attraction, the addiction to those neural pathways that activate fear and anxiety that no longer exists in your cellular structure or your DNA or your quantum field. We just release all the energy that no longer serves you, especially energy of low-level generational survival energy. So just take a deep breath and release that from your field, and just feel that heat coming out, just pouring, kind of detoxing your whole system.
Beautiful.
And allowing you this beautiful clear space for Lisa to
Well,
infuse.
the first thing that came up when you started is I got this energy of a young girl, a young child, maybe 5 years old, and she was freaking out as you started to bring the light in, because this is like her space, right, that she's been in. Mm-hmm. But the more, then she was kind of mesmerized by, what's happening? Like, what's going on here? Kind of looking around, and now all of a sudden she feels this spaciousness. It's almost like she's been let out of this container or containment that she's felt for so many years, and it's almost like she's stepping into this brand new field that's been opened for her to be able to be free and be safe, and to just feel complete safety. Again, she was really, really scared when this energy first started coming in. So I'm just curious, did you feel anything, guessed anything shifting?
Well, of course I can't even, but a lot of the specific words that Goldyn said,
yes,
were just felt exactly right. And then when you just said that, Lisa, it sort of described what I was feeling sort of in my, and when you said the heat, let the heat come out, it sort of felt like it came out of my mouth and the top of my head. And like this hope.
Yes.
And the, I mean, I was terrified. It's sort of making me cry, but I was terrified as a little girl, just because of the family that I grew up in. And so my memory of myself as a kid is I need to, the only way I'm going to survive is if I focus on myself and take care of myself. And so what you just described was this, like, that I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, that's on my whole body is chilling right now with truth of what you're
That
saying.
energy was coming up from your root chakra. All the energy that I was releasing was coming from your root, and the root is our security. And
Mhm.
so growing up feeling that insecurity and distrusting your surroundings is what has created this for you in the
Exactly.
present day. I also see this wide open field of wildflowers that you're
Yeah,
running through
that's
now.
exactly what I see too. It's like this beautiful field of flowers, and this little girl is just running free, like for the first time, and she feels safe.
Yeah.
She feels just so
Love.
overwhelmed with love and grace and beauty, and that it's like the world is hers to have exactly the way she wants it. It's so visceral. I feel it so viscerally in such a beautiful way.
That was exactly what I saw too, was a field of wildflowers.
Beautiful. So that's in your heart. So there's this connection with your heart, and this feeling of what was coming up for me was this feeling of being unloved. So that's where the proving energy comes from, because we have to prove to people that we're lovable by our acts. And when you grow up that way, then you start to live through obligation, and then you start to, chip away at that self, that knowing of self, because you're so trying to please everybody else. So coming into your heart, I just want you to come into your heart right now and take that energy, that unlovable energy. I'm feeling that heaviness in your heart right now. Just take that energy and just thank that energy, because that energy is what helped you survive. It was survival. Like you had to shrink in order to survive, but you don't need to do that anymore. People know who you are. They know that you're loved. We've felt that energy from you from day one
Yes.
through a computer. So just take that energy and take a nice deep breath and just release all that unlovable energy, all the energy of feeling scared, feeling fearful that you're not going to be loved, that you're not going to be taken care of, all that energy of distrust, of just feeling like you have to survive, you're in survival mode, and just let that energy go. It doesn't need to be there anymore. It's not you. It's not who you are. And
Yeah,
just
all the proving energy, a lot of like having to
yeah,
prove yourself, that can all
it's in the
go.
heart. It's in
Yeah.
the heart. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And what the obligation
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I feel, because I think I have to prove myself, is like
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally it.
Yeah.
words to that before, but that perfectly describes it.
That's beautiful. Wow.
And I can feel it. It's releasing. And you may have some more releasing that happens over the next couple of days, because there's some real attachment to it, which is like the attachment is, this is who I am. So there's a new identity that needs to be created.
Right.
So Lise, can you call in that new identity for her?
I was just going to say, because as soon as you're ready, I'm like, it's raring to come in.
I can feel that you have it. So
I'm like, well, first of all, let's just ground this energy, this clear, beautiful energy that we've created, so that you can always come back to this like 0 point, which is what I'd like to call this energy that we've created right now, that we've cleared your field of the old. And so we want to ground it into the earth right here, right now. Imagine these beautiful roots growing out of your feet and going down deep through every layer of the earth, down to the very center, having those roots wrap around the core center of the earth, which is a beautiful reddish orange, which is like the root chakra, and just allowing that energy then to come gently back up through the bottoms of your feet and into your body, through your ankles and your calves, your knees, your thighs, up through your hips, your groin, your stomach, your solar plexus, into your heart, just pouring into your heart this beautiful grounded energy, and then allowing it to go up through your chest and your shoulders, your arms, down to your fingertips, all the way up through your throat and into your head, and just allowing yourself to just revel in this beautiful, wonderful net zero space where you are this perfectly clean and clear vessel to receive this new identity of absolute perfection that's going to come in from the universe right here, right now, through the top of your crown. It's just making me burst with joy and excitement to feel this energy coming into your body. And for the first time in your entire life, you are going to feel the universal love that is available to you 24/7, 365. It's always been there for you, but you've kept it blocked because you had to keep yourself safe. You no longer need to have that identity. You have the identity of an absolutely perfectly clear, beautiful, loving vessel on this earth's surface, and you're here to spread that joy and peace, and you are perfect exactly the way you are. There is no comparison with anyone or anything else on this planet, because you know who you are, and you are here to bring it to the world. And this is filling your entire body. You are lit up like a golden piece of just this jewel that is just shining out into the earth, and there is nothing more you need to do, be, say, or have to make you any more perfect than you are right here, right now. And you can take this with you, and you will take this with you, and just be your authentic self. You have your full expression available to you and to all you speak with, and nothing that anyone can say or do or be to you will change who you are, because you are so confident in your beingness. Woo! I am bursting with joy right now. I hope you feel that.
Awesome. Let it out. Let it release.
Yeah, let it release. Let it in.
That force, that's pure positive energy that is being allowed to now run your systems. That word system keeps coming up for you. So allow it to run through you. Allow it to awaken that voice within your heart, so that from now on, from this day forward, you go within your heart and you ask if things are right for you. You no longer do things out of obligation, but you do things out of the pureness, the richness, the love for self, the love for others, which is divinely connected in your intuitive connection.
Wow.
Just let that all infuse into each one of your cells, into your DNA, up-leveling your entire vibration, your entire quantum field. And as we do this, we know it is done.
And so it is. Wow. Talk about a quantum.
My hair on end or what? God.
Quantum leap there. I mean, this is just, that was intensely amazing. How are you feeling?
Seriously, incredible. I mean, like, that the obligation connected to self-love and love of others, like that just feels, that felt like a whole sort of burst wide open kind of a thing.
Yeah. And my hands like came together, like it's intertwined. So without the self-love piece, there is no service, because if you're serving from obligation, you're deprivating yourself. And when we deprivate self, we actually, whatever we're helping somebody else out with, it's not of high vibration.
It's hollow.
So they would have been better off if we said no. That's how it ends up turning out.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Amazing. That was fabulous.
That was. I hope it was as good for you as it was for me. I'll have what she's having. Thank you very much. Wow. I love bringing through that energy. I mean, it was, I don't even know what I said. I'm going to have to go back and listen.
I know. The beautiful thing is we can re-listen to this, and you can re-listen to it anytime you're feeling wonky, anytime you're feeling off balance, and it will continue the work. It will bring the work.
It'll keep up leveling every time. Every time it'll take you to another new level.
That's incredible, you guys. Thank you so much.
That was a blast.
Like, enough to say, but incredible.
That's so cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
And we'll be in touch. Yeah. We'll see what happens. We like to give this like 30 days of you really connecting with this energy and seeing what
and listening
happens.
to this again as much as possible. Maybe even just, recording the
clip of the meditation. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
All right.
wow. Yeah. Well, so we'll turn the recording off.
Okay. Thanks for listening, everybody. Be sure to stay tuned. If you have any issues you'd like to clear, reach out to Goldyn and Lisa at gmail.com, GOLDYNANDLISA at gmail.com.
We're clearing it all for everybody.
Do it.